Good evening, Todd. You can see how fast the current is moving in the Mississippi River right off of Crescent Park here in the Maroney. We are now approaching 1.25 million cubic feet per second, which is the trigger for opening the spillway. Working on the Mississippi has always been a risky proposition, but as the river increases in height and velocity, ships become sluggish heading upriver, and sometimes they're hard to maneuver. That's why state and federal authorities have placed certain restrictions on mariners. Here's why. Captain Steve Hawthorne, river pilot and president of the New Orleans Baton Rouge Steamship Pilots Association, showed us a video shot in recent weeks of a ship struggling in high water just off the Riverwalk.
Here we have a vessel that was northbound right below the G&O. He was holding up for some traffic and he got in an eddy or a large whirlpool, and the vessel topped around on him, got broadside before he got control of it. Luckily, there were some tugs along close by. He got control with it and continued on north. But this is just one of the kind of things that we face daily with this type of river stage and current velocity.
And we're told that southbound shipping on this part of the Mississippi is restricted to daylight hours only right now. And if ships that are loaded and anchored in this area have to keep a river pilot on board at all times. We're live at the riverfront. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.
Paul.